what up everybody? This is Mark from Suicide Silence.
And this is Brian Fair from Shadows Fall.
This is Trevor Sternad from the Black Dahlia Murder here.
Yo, this is Gary Hall from Exodus and recently retired from Slayer, and
Hello, this is Becky Boulder from Hands of Grapple and Fury.
Hey, this is Charlie with Anthrax. I just want to give a shout out to Pedal to the Metal Radio, the podcast.
The podcast to get all your rock and metal news plus reviews.
Keep it metal. Pedal to the Metal Radio, motherfuckers!
What's up, metalheads? It's your main man, Eddie Monster. Welcome to another exciting edition of Pedal to the Metal Radio, the podcast. That's right, the podcast where you get all your rock and metal news, plus everything else that comes along with it, the Unsigned Band of the Week, so on and so forth, which we have for you guys today. Because today, or whenever you're watching this, by the way, episode 180, that's right, we've been doing this 180 episodes. It's crazy. We're finally on YouTube, so for those of you that are watching us right now on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We appreciate every single one of you that subscribe. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever it may be, please subscribe or follow the show as well. All of those are greatly appreciated as well. Got a great episode for you guys. Plenty of rock and metal news for all of us. We got the Unsigned Band of the Week. But right now, I want to talk about a few things, and I want to just send a big congratulations to a few people like Adam Wakeman, Frankie Bello, and Nuno Betancourt. So you guys know these guys were absolute rock stars. They showed up to back at the beginning of July, and they tore it up. Well, all three have been honored for the first time. They are on the Billboard charts as solo artists of sorts, but it's all because of the song Changes, which was done by Youngblood. The song is performed so well on the Billboard charts, so congratulations to those three guys for that achievement, which is hard to believe for a few of them, right? But nonetheless, you know, Changes is doing fantastic. All these tributes that are coming in are just absolutely amazing. Hopefully, they're going to be changing Birmingham Airport to Ozzy Osbourne Airport. That one I'm definitely hoping for. Speaking of Ozzy, there's something I want to talk about that has really bothered me. And it bothered me since I saw it, right? And one of those things is we don't know what member of the group did it, but a member of Green Jelly, you guys all remember Green Jelly that did that song Three Little Pigs, you know, which was pretty badass back in the day. Saw them live once. But apparently one of the members of Green Jelly released a tasteless meme online the other day, on actually the day that Ozzy passed away. He released a meme that showed a picture of Ozzy and a photoshopped him holding the sign, and the sign said, "1 day sober." It's absolutely disgusting. There's no need for something like that, especially on the day that the King of Metal, that's right, I'm calling him the King of Metal, because him and Black Sabbath, they started this thing. Those are the four kings of metal right there. Tony Iommi, Bill Ward, Geezer Butler, Ozzy Osbourne, the four kings of metal. And, you know, it's just, dude, it's bad taste. Bad taste. And why? I get that a lot of these bands, right? Like, I get that Gwar started as a band that was supposed to be a joke against metal and whatever, and they became who they became. But no matter what, keep your opinions to yourself. And thankfully, Green Jelly was smart enough, which is really just one guy, to be perfectly honest, who runs Green Jelly. He just hires a bunch of people wherever he needs a band. At least that's what I was told. But anyways, apparently he has a band member. So, luckily, Green Jelly fired this individual as soon as they released it and were called out on it. That's right. People actually called this guy out or girl out, whoever it may be. I don't know who it is. I don't have that information. But they called them out for being a complete asshole, which is something that people should be doing. Like I said, what is the point of that? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to get 15 minutes of fame? Because then you're not going to get into it. I'm not here to insult bands, because it's not the band's fault that this idiot posted it. Okay? I get tired of bands that try to do, or individuals in bands that try to do things to gain 15 minutes of fame. It's pathetic. That's why nobody talks about Upon a Burning Body. You guys remember that band? I hope you do, because they faked the kidnapping of their lead singer just to get 15 minutes of fame. Oh, did you forget that happened? I didn't, because I reported on it back in the day. Okay? When it happened. Which I believe, I'm not sure if it was the podcast that I reported about this or not. Be interesting to look back at those early episodes of Pedal to the Metal Radio, the podcast. But nonetheless, again, absolutely distasteful. And there's no need for it, dude. You either get by because you've got talent or you've got a gimmick. And if you've got neither, your band's just going to fade away. And that's just life, right? Not everybody gets to be at that upper echelon of metal and rock music or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's just not how it's done. But it was just distasteful, in my opinion. So shame on them, on that individual. But kudos to the band for getting the job done and saying, you know what? You're done. That's it. You're gone. So that's all I'm going to say. All right. That is my rant for now. I always rant at the beginning of the episodes for those of you that are just joining us for the first time. Also, if you're just joining us for the first time, all the links are in the description below, as well as we always promote the band that is featured on the show. Their links will also be in the description below, so remember that. But right now, we're going to take a quick break for you. It's just like that, but we'll be right back with rock and metal news.
It's time for Rock and Metal News, presented by Eddie Monster.
Alright guys, Rock and Metal News time. I'm back, and I've got kind of a sad story to start off, and I hate usually starting off with these right from the get-go. But I just wanted to say rest in peace to Junkyard frontman David Roach, who recently just passed away. As of the recording of this podcast, he had passed the day before after a long battle with cancer, which is very, very unfortunate, right? This past February, it was announced that he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer called, I believe it's pronounced squamous cell carcinoma. If I got that wrong, whatever. Cancer sucks anyways. But it affected his head, neck, and throat. And the band recently released this for a statement. After a courageous battle with cancer, David passed away peacefully last night at home in the loving arms of his wife. He was a gifted artist, performer, songwriter, and singer, but above all, a devoted father, husband, and brother. Our thoughts are with the entire Roach family and everyone who loved him. I myself have a sort of a memory, of Junkyard. So back in 2009, I started a music video show for my local access channel called The Monster Hour. And I remember I had reached out, and they had sent me a live DVD, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I never aired anything from Junkyard at the time. But I was so into their music, and I was into discovering the bands that nobody really talked about from that, 80s hair metal scene that had happened. So I always had pleasure on my radio show that I did at Bridgewater State University's radio station, WBIM. I used to do an all 80s show, and I would always include, bands like Junkyard, the Sleazebees, Wild Side. These bands that you didn't get to hear about all the time, but should, because some of them were really, really good, and Junkyard was definitely one of those bands. They opened up for bands like Leonard Skinner. The Black Crowes opened up for them at one point. So R.I.P. to David Roach. My condolences to his friends, families, and everyone, just like that statement said, everyone who loved him. R.I.P. In other news, this one is like, this is what happens when metal bands fight, is what this is called. It's a segment I love doing. I wish I had more back and forth between the two, but I don't. But anyways, former Hatebreed bassist Chris Beatty is fighting back against Jamie Jasta, his former bandmate, for what he believes was a false pretense for his termination. Beatty claims that he was an integral part of Hatebreed sound and identity for the last 30 years, and that he was a big part of their writing process, so on and so forth. And he claims that Jasta used an incident that happened in Wallingford, Connecticut, when Beatty was accused of harassing a security guard, and that's what caused Jasta to fire him. Well, in 2015, Beatty explains that the band reached an agreement where he, Jasta, and Matthew Byrne were receiving 25% of the merchandise, with the remaining two members dividing that last 25%. And that would be like merch sales, so on and so forth. But he claims that Jasta had been shorting him. He remembers asking for the 2023 and 24 statements and things of that nature to prove that he was kind of being screwed. So he believes that Jasta took the opportunity to get rid of him. So, with that being said, Beatty is taking him for financial damages, and he's including compensatory damages and damages for emotional purposes as well. So there you go. Metal bands, when they fight, it can get pretty ugly right there. I don't know much about the Hatebreed situation, but I would agree that he probably was a huge part of their sound. I love Hatebreed. You know what I mean? One of my favorite bands anyways. And in other news, so I think it's a few weeks back, or it was last week on last week's episode, I had reported about Malevolent Creation's Phil Fasciano and him going through some serious business. He was in a coma fighting bacterial pneumonia. Well, Phil is officially out of the coma, and he is talking. He's released some statements, and he goes to say, "Seeing posts like this freaked me out, but things like this reach a lot of people. As of today, August 1st, I am having the last of my tests, and if all is good, I will be released on Monday or Tuesday at the latest. I don't know how I contracted this bacteria, but my lungs were filled with blood for some time now. I have to see doctors every month concerning injuries I received in a car accident in 2021, and none of the doctors I see that check your blood as well as other vitals never detected anything. Even after complaining about just generally feeling constantly sick and having tons of x-rays, MRIs, and just general routine doctor visits." He would go on to say that when he first woke up, he was like, bullshit, I'm going through something like this. And the doctor basically asked him, well, if you don't believe us, why don't you spit on the ground? Phil said he spit, and what he saw was pure blood. So he knew the doctors were not joking at that point. And he goes on to talk about more and more and more. You can check out that article on metalinjection.net if you want to read more about what he says. But I've just given you pretty much the gist of everything. anyways. In other news, 12-Foot Ninja Steve McKay has regained control of the band's entire catalog. But while he may have gotten the catalog back, he is launching his new version, which basically features no original members, has a brand new singer, and he's released the band's catalog in a digital collection called the Silly Sausage Survival Pack, which you could get. And he has released a statement saying, 12-Foot Ninja as you know it is over, which I know will disappoint some. The former members were not involved in this and have chosen not to be. I respect their contributions and will never try to erase or replace them. However, I started this weird ADHD genre-bending metal project almost 18 years ago. The compositional approach, music production, comics, humor, and music videos are tethered to my creative identity. That's not hubris or a Scooby-Doo reveal. That's just the way it is. Can you blame the guy? Hey, you know what? He wants to be creative. He's got this new version. I don't know if he's officially calling it 12-Foot Ninja 2.0 or whatever the case may be. It might be. I'm not too positive on that. But, dude, if you're the creative force, what can people really say? And apparently the band members aren't disagreeing either. They're going along with it. So, he's pretty legit on this one. All right, now in some new releases news, Behemoth have announced that they are reissuing their seminal 1998 album, Pandemonic Incantations, which will come out September 12th via Metal Blade Records. The album will feature all new cover art courtesy of visual artist Iliran Kantor, which I hope I said that right. And it features 7 bonus tracks, which include the EP Bewitching the Pandemonium. So it's also got unreleased rough mixes, and you can get it right now. It also has a 20-page booklet, which looks pretty awesome. And it was an album that is particularly special to Behemoth because it kind of signified a change in their sound to where they are today. So make sure you check that out. And if you're a vinyl collector, like I'm a vinyl collector, this one's going to get interesting because these are rare releases from the Melvins that are available right now. Well, they will be available. They're up for pre-order. September 26th is the date that you can get your hands for the first time ever on the final releases of the Colossus of Destiny, Everybody Loves Sausages, and Freak Puke. Okay, Everybody Loves Sausages, as you know, is the covers album that they did. I am such a covers album freak. I'll probably buy one of those. I'll probably get them all because I'm a vinyl collector myself. So these are very rare releases, okay? Make sure you go and you get it because people will fight over these for sure. Okay. Dying Wish have announced a new album called Flesh Stays Together, and it's due out September 26th via Sharp Tone Records. The metallic hardcore unit have also unveiled the first single, which is called I'll Know You're Not Around. And vocalist Emma Boster has described the album as a discovery, a journey of grief, and a statement. Together we face the most unacceptable conditions in our lifetimes. Every tragedy becomes our own. Yet we have never been more separated. Flesh is a vicious wake-up call. So there you go. Catch it if you want it. Gorgoroth have announced an upcoming live album that was captured during their European tour that celebrated their 33rd anniversary as a band. Information as far as, album titles, these, song titles, things of that nature are still yet to be unveiled. But Infernus is working with Alstein J. Brun on the mixing process as we speak, so make sure you stay tuned right here, because as soon as we get the track listing, the release dates, everything like that, we will definitely let all of you know. As well as Demon Hunter have announced a new album, their 12th studio album that is. There Was a Light Here, which is being released via the band's own indie label, Weapons MFG, and it will be released on September 12th. It is the band's first album since 2022's Exile. And this is a good segue into the tour news that we always do, but the band will be hitting the road starting September 9th in Louisville, Kentucky, and it goes all the way to October 11th in Nashville, Tennessee. Cradle of Filth and Suffocation have announced a European tour, which starts November 17th in Zurich, Switzerland, and ends December 6th in the Netherlands. And in other news, this is one of my favorites. I think you guys should go and see this if you get a chance. If you enjoy giallo films, much like Dario Argento, things of that nature, and you enjoy the scores, which were made by the incredible Claudio Simonetti, do yourself a favor. Go and see Claudio Simonetti's Goblin, who are touring North America once again. But in Canada, they'll be playing the score to Suspiria, which is going to be accompanied by the film playing at the same time. But in the U.S., they're going to be celebrating 50 years of Deep Red, otherwise known as Profondo Rosso. And the tour starts October 8th in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and it ends December 8th in Los Angeles. But this Los Angeles show is pretty special because it's going to feature Trent Reznor as the curator, and John Carpenter and Danny Elfman will be joining Claudio Simonetti on stage as well. That sounds pretty fucking killer to me. Now, in the more unfortunate news, right, that side of touring that goes bad, Animals as Leaders have had to cancel their upcoming tour due to the arm injury of drummer Matt Gaskra, who apparently, it requires surgery, so apparently this is pretty serious. If you want more information, go to metalinjection.net for more information on that. And other news, Jon Bush has announced 3 shows. That's right, 3 shows where he'll be playing his Anthrax material that he did. This one, dude, I would totally be into going to see this. Jon Bush, the legendary Armored Saint and former Anthrax singer, going on tour with the members of Category 7, with the exception that Joey Vera of Armored Saint will be playing bass instead of Jack Gibson, and that's due to scheduling conflicts between the two. But there are only 3 shows that you can go to if you want to see this, and that is, it starts December 13th in LA at the Whiskey A Go-Go. Then you've got December 18th in St. Charles, Illinois, and then December 20th in New York at the Racket. So if you want to see this tour, or these 3 tour dates, make sure you pick one of them if you want to definitely go. And also, we talked about the Melvins before and their new, unique releases, but the band will also be on tour starting September 9th in Flagstaff, Arizona, and then they'll go around the whole country and circle right back to Tucson when the tour ends on October 21st. And this next band, I love trying to figure out how the hell you say their name. Sanguisugabogs is the name of the band. That's as best as I'm going to get with that one, but they've announced in North. I love that band name, Sanguisugabogs. I wish I could just learn how to properly say it. Maybe I will one day for you guys out there. But they've announced in North American tour dates with Despised Icon, Defeated Sanity, and Corpse Pile. It's going to be one hell of a death metal show. If you're into it, go and see it. The tour starts November 4th in Detroit, Michigan, and it runs until November 30th when it comes to Columbus, Ohio. All right, there you go. Rock and metal news all done for you guys out there. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, check out these bands that are going on tour. Check out some of the releases. I'm telling you, I know most of you guys have streaming services somewhere. Check these bands out. But I'm a very big proponent of physical releases. That's just something I love. But right now, it is the time you all have been waiting for. That's right. It is time for this week's Unsigned Band of the Week. And we've got a good one for all of you. And the band that we chose for you guys is a good one this week. They are close friends of mine. We worked together on those Concerts in a Quiet Theater. Plus, I also reviewed their episode as well. So if you go to the YouTube channel and look that up, you will find it. Of course, I am talking about the one, the only, based out of Providence, Rhode Island, the Chromatic Punks, good friends of mine. And back in 2020, they did an album called Over the Influence, and we are checking out their track, Not a Drill. This is their music video for those that are watching on YouTube and Spotify. For the rest of you, you're just going to be listening to audio, I assume. But happy to have them on the show. And as usual, thank you guys for all tuning in. Make sure you go and you check them out, thechromaticpunks.com. Make sure you check out every band that I always play on the show. You got to support independent music, unsigned bands, everybody, because the scene has to start somewhere. Has to start somehow. What better place than here? What better time than now is what I always say. And I will see you all next time on Pedal to the Metal Radio, the podcast.
Progress forward in this world.